was born and raised in London. We were brought up in North London, in an area where there wasn't a lot of Muslims. It was a very mixed area, a lot of English people, white people, black people, mix of everything. So, but we still went to mosque a lot. I went with my mum to mosque a lot. I went with my dad a lot. So we still had that religious background, but I would be most of the time out with friends, playing football and that kind of thing when I was younger. And after about 10-15 years, we moved to northwest London, where I met a lot more Shia, a lot more Muslim, a lot more ethnic people. And then started getting to know them a bit more and getting more involved with the community and more involved with different activities within the community. And when I finished my studies, I took a gap year. After I finished my A-levels, I worked for about a year, and then I decided to go to university and do sports management, which is a bit strange. My family was a bit wondering why I was choosing this subject, because I did quite well in GCSEs, not so well in A-levels, but I didn't have a direction I wanted to follow. So I wasn't a lawyer or accountant or doctor or something like that. These kind of set paths, I didn't have one of those. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So that's why I took the gap year and think about what I wanted. And I researched a few subjects. I found something that I thought would suit me well, which was sports management, with a bit of football studies as well. So it was a bit about coaching football and learning about a bit of sports science, so physiology. And I thought it would be quite interesting to do. So I did my degree, 3 years in Buckinghamshire University, which was an okay uni. It wasn't great, but it was a nice experience. I think everyone should do it. It teaches you to live on your own, to fend for yourself, to work for yourself, and also it gives you the skills that you need, I think, in life to work professionally. And doing things like research and studying and that kind of thing is very important for your future career. So I definitely recommend people to go to university to at least have that experience. And so when I finished that, I went into a few different jobs. Again, I still couldn't find sort of a set path for myself. I did a bit of football coaching part-time. I did a few random jobs here and there. And until I eventually found some work as a researcher. It was a very strange sort of path to take and place to end up. I ended up doing some research, and so I was working in an office doing presentations and some research on things like banks and other different areas, and did that for about a year or so, and also at the same time part-time coaching, earning a bit of money on the side. And then I went through a short period where I was out of work, just looking for something. It was a bit difficult at that time, I think, for young people to find jobs. The market was getting into that recession time. But alhamdulillah, I found something. I got a phone call one day for an interview. It was a job I didn't even apply for. I'd been applying for jobs for a few months, and then this one just came out of the blue, and I started working there it was a technology company, again doing things like reporting and presentations. So that skills that I'd picked up in university of doing presentations, working with Excel and PowerPoint and those kind of things, helped me to get that first job doing research, and then down the line about a year or so later getting this job, which I ended up staying with for about 2.5 years. So I was working as what they call an account executive, which means you're just assisting account managers with their clients. They have a set few clients, and you do reports for them and presentations and that kind of thing. And then eventually I built myself up in that company a bit. I got promoted to account manager, looking after a few of their clients. And eventually then I decided to move on. The company went into a direction I didn't like, so I moved on to a completely different job, which was as a project manager. And again, this one I didn't apply for it. It came out of nowhere. But it seemed like something very interesting. The company works with promotion compliance. So that's something like if you enter into a promotion, we make sure that there is definitely a member of the public who wins, that it's done fairly. We sometimes organise your prize, organise your trip, things like that. So it's quite an interesting job, and it was a different turn for me again, but it sounded like something I want to do, and I've been doing that for the last almost a year now, so it's been quite interesting. I think people say you got to work hard and work very hard. I didn't always work hard. I did well in school because I did well in school. I studied when I needed to, I didn't do anything extra really, but I think that when it came the time that you needed to work hard and put your foot down and do some studying and revising, then I'd step up and do my revision and that kind of thing. But I think at times what hurt me was that I didn't know what I wanted to do, and that kind of put me in a bad way for my A-levels. I didn't do brilliantly in my A-levels after doing well in my GCSEs. And so when I finished that, I realised I can't really, go through this way of not working and not taking things seriously. And when I took this subject to university, I realised, you get a kind of a shock that there's no one there to sort of help you do it all. People will sort of support you and advise you and that kind of thing and give you help in a smaller scale than they would at school, but really they're more in an advisory role than helping get the work done. It's on you to do it. I think something like that, and definitely final year at university, doing like a dissertation where you've got to come up with a subject, you've got to research it, you've got to do it all, 10,000 words, a big booklet you've got to produce. I think that almost changed my life a bit, and that sitting down and doing that all on your own gives you like a work ethic almost, like you have to do it. There's no way around it. I've got my deadline, I have to get it done by now if I want to do well. And I felt like if I'd spent 3 years, you spent money on that university, you might as well make the most of it. So I think that helped me a lot in my future life. Definitely that final year of university helped me put on a platform to future jobs, and definitely that was a big support for me. Family is always there to push you a bit. If they don't think you're doing enough or they think you're being lazy, they'll definitely let you know, which is good. I think obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there and he always reminds you to do your duty and to have that something that in yourself that you don't want to be a failure, you don't want to be sitting around doing nothing. We taught from it. I learned from my parents to work hard. They work incredibly hard, and they didn't have anything given to them. They had to work really hard. So definitely just them being what they are helped me to think that I need to work harder and to do better. And it pushes you a bit to think, I can't just be sitting around doing nothing. I haven't earned that. So that was a big influence for me, yeah. I think it's a bit strange. When we moved to this area and we started to see more of a community, because before where we used to live, we were a community, but nothing to do with religion, more of just guys, young guys playing football and going out and enjoying sports and that kind of thing as youngsters. But when you moved here, you find there's a different way of life. It's not so much about going after school to play football. A lot of people go to majalis or to people's houses for something. It's a different type of atmosphere, and I think that appealed to me quite a lot, because it's a nice to have any sort of community is good, whether it's sports or more religious based. It's always good, nice to have that. And I think being in that kind of area and that kind of group made me think I wanted to do something. And I saw a lot of groups and a lot of young people setting up these programs for youth, so trips away, to Manchester or to these kind of places. And it sort of made me think, I'd like to do something like that. But it didn't really develop until sort of after I'd finished university and I was working, that I felt like I could do something now. Maybe people want a certain thing, I can help to do that. And that's when I started thinking to set up a football league, for example. We decided we wanted to set up a football league not for kids, but for our age, so over 18s, over 21s, people at uni or above working, who maybe they have to struggle a bit to sort out these kind of things. It's hard when you start working to get people together, because everybody's got their own commitments. So we thought if we set up a league, instead of just a friendly game where people are not taking it seriously, if it's a league, people will take it seriously, they'll come every week, they'll want to play, they'll be a bit competitive. And we decided that would be a good thing to do, and that's sort of what got things started for me with doing some activities within the community. We wanted to find a place to bring a lot of different people together. A big group, it was a big group, so 40 odd people every week to come. So we started off small. We started off a 6-week league in Wembley, Power League, nice new place they had there in Wembley. And that was the first thing that sort of kicked things off for me, working in the community. It's funny, motivation was my topic that I chose for my dissertation at university. When I was doing some football coaching, at the same time I was working with one of the communities, the Stanmore community, doing coaching there. They have a weekly football session with the kids, so under 10s, under 15s, under 18s. So I got in touch with someone there, said, look, I'm doing my degree, I'm doing my qualifications, can I come along and help out? anyway, and I started working with them for about 3 or 4 years. I started just helping out the main guy until eventually he handed it over to me to take over. And and we used to go to tournaments, and we won lots of tournaments. We won the under 10s, under 15s, under 18. We sort of won everything for a couple of years. And that, working with those guys who just came to play for fun. There was only one tournament a year. They came mainly just to play for fun. I wanted to see what motivated them to do that. So I found that the social aspect, being with their friends, hanging out with somewhere where they're not to be against religion, but there wasn't a lot of religious sort of pressure on them. They weren't there to listen to a majlis or anything like that. They're just there to have fun, but also in an environment that was safe and that was within their brothers, their community. They were together. That was one of the main factors in my research. That was the top one. So that's where I sort of thought, this is what people want. The youth, young guys, this is what they want. They want to hang out with their friends, but in a good environment, in a safe environment, where they're not going to be attracted to do something bad, or there's going to have some bad things around them. So one of the best things to help that is sport, and that's where my sport background came in. That's where the football league thing came in. Also try and combine these all together. And I think that the youth and the community, what motivates them is they want to just sort of be together and spend time with each other and have a good time together, but in a clean and halal way. So I think that's what drives people a lot. They want to have a good time with each other without having a lot of pressure maybe on them from family or from parents and that kind of thing. It's interesting. I don't like to think of everything as achievements. I don't like to think of, yes, we've done one thing and tick it off and well done to us. No, I think there's always room to do more and to continue to do other things. We did 2 football leagues, and then I took a little break and got married and these kind of things that took over a bit. Life took over a bit. So I don't think of them as achievements, and I'm done with that, and I don't need to do it again. I just think we did a few things, need to learn from them, and then push on to try and make the next thing better. So I think that everything we did had a purpose and had an achievement to it, and it served the purpose for the people that came and the people that enjoyed it and that gained from it. But I don't think there was one thing there that was a massive achievement. I think all of them separately served the people that came to it, and that's all we were trying to do, is just serve the people on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try and get something, give something back, I guess, to the community. I don't think you can do anything without the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I have so many examples of things where I've been in a bit of trouble and like not bad trouble, just as in I don't know what I'm going to do about something, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps. So many examples. When I decided I want to go to uni, I wasn't the most well prepared for it. I'd spent the summer on holiday, I came back very late, and I needed to find a place to live next to my university. And subhanAllah, the week before the university was going to start, we got a phone call from the accommodation people to say that one house is available for a couple of people. It's next to my campus. My campus was a bit far away. I didn't drive back then, just that first year. And it was almost perfect. It was walking distance from my campus. I don't think without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helping me there, I would have got that. Other examples are, I spent a few months off work just doing this part-time coaching, and it wasn't really enough, and was starting to struggle a bit financially. And almost the same week that, running out of money and bills starting to come up and that kind of thing, and I was someone had told me, like, do Ziyarat Ashura every day to try and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because at the end of the ziyarah you're supposed to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your wishes, a hajat. And some of my family member or somebody had said that to me. So for a few months, and I was doing that, and it was actually around the time of Haram and Safar, so there was a lot of majalis to go to and that thing, going every day and sort of praying afterwards at the same time, helped me find some kind of job. And that's when that job came up, that phone call out of nowhere, after applying for so many jobs and getting nowhere. Suddenly got this phone call this one Monday, and then by Friday I had an interview, and by Monday I had the job. That's how quick it was, and no doubt that's what helped. I have no doubt that that's what helped it and what got me. It wasn't me doing a fantastic interview. It was that help from that little, who made that phone call, where did they get my name from, where did they find my CV, that kind of thing. And you can't doubt that this is him helping you. As I said before, I don't think I had a great, I wanted to achieve this and this is what I wanted to do. When I was younger, I was in almost a completely different world, doing completely different things, and I wasn't the best behaved child at school, so that made things different. And so I think I create the wishes as I'm going along now, as I get older and life changes and I see different things and what's needed out there and what I think I need to do and what I think is a gap maybe in the market of if you look at it almost as a business, the community is almost as a business. Is there a gap in the market there that someone's not doing or that we could do to help out and to fill that gap? And I think I come up with a wish maybe that I want to start up this, and then a few months down the line I'll start it up, and inshallah we'll get a good turnout and we'll achieve what we want, which is getting people together and having a good time and enjoying it and something memorable and keeping memories. I think those for me, I wasn't a childhood where I wanted to be this person, this career, and now I'm aiming for that. It's more as I've grown up and my life has changed and things have changed, I've looked at different areas and different ways to try and achieve things, and I think that's the path that I've gone down now. It's always difficult to just say a few things, a few platitudes that I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm the kind of person that I like to take things as they come. We like I said, you pray. If you're in a bit of trouble for something, you want a job, you need to get married, something like that, then yeah, you pray for it and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you for it. But I'm very much like, I'll take things as they come and try and develop as the world changes around us, and find these things to do rather than set myself, by the end of the year I want to do X, Y and Z. There's a few different ways I want to answer it. So I can answer it from the professional side of what kind of things you need to do in your career and what kind of skills you want to learn. But before that, I think you've got to answer it from a spiritual side, and I think just the one thing that it's kind of easy to do and we can all sort of do is just to pray and pray on time. It's something that I don't know why my parents maybe gave it to me, but it was something that always so important that so many people take for granted, and I don't know, maybe we find it easy not to do it and just get on with our lives and then worry about it later on. But just pray on time. I always heard it on the minbar, but first and foremost from my parents was every time it was, whatever Maghrib time, suddenly the lights would go on and then everybody would be up doing wudu and praying. And it just stuck with me for my whole life that they had such strength in that belief to do that. It was so important to them. My dad works quite close he goes around, he works around the area. So at Dhuhr time he'll be here 5 minutes before, do wudu and pray. So he'll say no to a job, for example, and then come home just to pray, have his lunch, go back, come back again, pray again. And when you have that kind of commitment, that kind of belief and that kind of strength in your belief, that's got to rub off on your kids as well. And you can't help but notice that as being incredibly important. And when you're a kid, you see that and it sticks with you, and you learn it as this is something important, so you just do it without really thinking why or what's the reason behind it. And then when you grow up and you maybe hear from a scholar or something like that, a majlis or something along those lines, then you start to know the reasons why, as well as them teaching you, but you hear more about the background behind why we need to do this and what's important about it. But combining those two together when it grows up, it's massive. It's really important. I think the world is going fast, and lives and our jobs are difficult and stressful, but it's a good thing to take out 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes from your day and just get rid of all that stress and all the headaches that are on you, and just go and think about something else and not have to worry about it. And also, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving you that job or that career or whatever it is. He's only asked for 10, 15 minutes of your day. It's not a lot to ask. So that's one thing I love to try and get as many shabab to do as possible. One thing in our tournaments or our leagues or whatever we've been doing, football, table tennis, we make a pact always, if it's time of salah, we'll stop, we'll pray, jama'ah if we can, whatever it is, we'll stop and we'll do it on time, and make sure everybody's together. And it's one thing that is like an amana that we have to do it. If we're going to do this, fine, we'll have fun, we'll enjoy it, but we'll also enjoy praying together and get that brotherhood and all that kind of thing together. So the spiritual side, that's the first and foremost. You can't forget about that, and you can't leave that. From a more practical skills kind of thing, one thing I always talk to when I speak to guys who are at uni, who are studying, who are in their first years or even in their last years, is get your computer skills up. Get your things like working with your office tools, like your Excels and your PowerPoints, these kind of things. Obviously, depending on what kind of career you're in, but generally these skills help you with everything. They helped me a lot, and I think that if you can improve that a bit, you can have an edge over someone else. If you can go to an interview and say, yeah, I am actually proficient in these skills, you have some practical, tangible skills that you're good at. Not necessarily you're a charismatic person, you talk really well, you look really good. It doesn't, at the end of the day, those don't make a massive difference to what you can actually do when you're sitting there doing those 9 hours of the day, and you can really, give back to someone. When my company now, we're recruiting for people, we give them some tests. We give them like a verbal test, a maths test, and an office Excel test. So a lot of companies do that to weed out who they think, this guy's going to maybe take too much training. This person who's got potential but could do better, and this person's very good. Now, if you want to be on the middle on this side, then you need to improve your practical skills. And it doesn't take a lot. You can use it while you're doing your uni work, your courseworks, and that kind of thing. You can do it in your own time. There's plenty of courses online that you can go on and just get those basic skills and then push yourself up a bit. I think that helps a massive amount. If you can get that edge over someone else when there's 50 people applying for one job, you need to have something above the rest of them. And I definitely always try and encourage people to do that. The other one is to be professional. A lot of young guys these days, you're at uni and you kind of develop a casual attitude. So that might be the way you talk, that might be the way you dress, that might be the way you act. It's fine for university to an extent. It's fine for university. When you want to go for a job, you can't be walking in with your cap on and your hairstyles. They're looking for someone professional. There's a lot of books and a lot of talks about what you wear and how you dress and what kind of things you put on for an interview, for a job interview. Not just you put on a suit, a tie, and that's it. There's the rest of the appearance. And the appearance as well is involved in that, as well as the way you speak, the way you put yourself across. Being perhaps too arrogant can be a problem. Being too shy can be a problem. Trying to find yourself a middle balance in there. Also, the way you speak, you've got to be more professional. You've got to speak a bit more clearly. Get rid of that kind of slang and those kind of tones that you might have in your voice that you speak with your friends. One thing our youth seem to forget is the akhlaq of the Prophet and the Imams was much greater than anything we can even picture and we can imagine in our minds. And to try and get half of that would help us so much. I mean, to treat people with the respect that not necessarily you think they deserve, but that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them by creating them. They have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them on this earth. You have to respect His creation. And that's one thing the Prophet and the Imams taught us, that even in face of for an example, you're going to say an enemy, you don't have to say an enemy in this context, you could just say it as another person who might not be of the same faith or the same belief, whatever it is. You treat them with the utmost respect. This your equal in, as Imam Ali said, either your brother in faith or your equal in humanity. It's a great quote that's going around, everybody seems to know it these days. Why don't we use it? That this person, whatever they are, Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Sikh, doesn't matter. They're still your brother, your equal, and you treat them in that same way that you'd want to be treated. So there's, we hear the stories and we hear the quotes and these kind of things. To use a few of them in practically in your life can help a massive amount, and it can help you become a bit more professional and maybe help find a job or that kind of thing. I would say that if you are having trouble, if you're having problems to find people who help, I'm always around to help out if anybody needs anything. I think there's a lot of guys who are like that, who are always there to help out. If it's going to a centre or one of the centres, one of the Islamic centres that we have, go. There's people always there willing to help out. It doesn't have to be a scholar or someone with who maybe a lot older than you, people of my age, of our age. There's lots of them who are there, willing and able and want to help, whatever it may be, whatever you might have or facing in your life. People have been through the same or slightly different, but also, you know, the same kind of issues and the problems, and they've got advice to help you with. And maybe they haven't been through the same thing and they don't know, but they can find ways to help you. And I would say that use them. Don't think that there's nothing you can do or there's no place to go. Use these people, and you know, inshallah, things will get better, and more is not going to happen.